Good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, May. Oh my gosh, May 5th. It's hard to believe. We've been in this for about 50 days, and I am so excited for many reasons. I have a good friend and a council member of Westlake Village, Brad Halpern, here to join us today. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
We are all so excited because we're talking about opening up Westlake Village. And there's nobody else that I can think about to talk about what we can expect than to go to a council member. And so I thought it would be great to have you. And if we're lucky, we'll have somebody else joining us in a little bit talking about the state. So Brad, thank you for joining us. And let's talk about Friday. Opening day. It's a big day.
It sounds like the gun is about to go off on the opening of a marathon, but there's the city of Westlake Village really follows the county of Los Angeles, and with that, we're finding that the protocols haven't been fully determined yet, but we know that bookstores, music stores, toy stores, florists, clothing stores, and sporting goods stores are listed as the ability to be open. In what capacity, like I said, some of that's still yet to be determined. It appears that there will be plexiglass shields in between cashiers and the public when you're purchasing something. A number of these things are going to, and additional stores will have sidewalk delivery and the ability, as well as restaurant dining, in-house dining will still not be allowed for some time, but certainly outside dining and outside takeout is going to be available to them.
When you say outside dining, does that mean like restaurants that have a patio are going to be able to serve, or is it still pickup and pickup?
It's still pickup, but again, it's still yet to be defined, and I'm understanding that we'll hear more answers on Thursday about what the county is going to allow. But I have a sneaky suspicion that they are going to allow outdoor dining spaced apart.
Clothing stores, like how will they, do you know how they're going to be doing fitting rooms and clothing? And
I've only heard rumors of different things. It's going to be very interesting to see if they allow for try on and what happens to the clothes after people take them off. Mm-hmm. Other states that are allowing people to try on, but then the clothes have to sit for 24 hours somewhere, kind of isolated before they're put back on the rack. So the new normal is here, whatever that may be, and still yet to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, I think just starting to open up the curtain a little bit and letting people out a little bit and letting some normality come back, even though it's the new normal, is really important, because I mean, what we're kind of on this dividing line. Let's talk a little bit about Ventura County, who opened up already for 2 weeks, right? They've already opened it up. Yet we're the city of Westlake Village, yet I know there's people in Ventura County who say they live in Westlake Village, but yet you can go over there and play golf, and over here we can't play golf. So let's talk about that a little bit.
We are, there's no getting around it. We are in Los Angeles County. We butt up on the northernmost border against Thousand Oaks, which is also, Thousand Oaks is Ventura County. And as I mentioned earlier, we typically follow the LA County. However, there may be some opportunity for the city of Westlake's City Council to determine certain things that maybe we are an incorporated city and we can make certain decisions. So there might be some possibilities where we don't align ourselves, or we don't live in a dense area. So certainly you mentioned golf or tennis might be another one that if the council and if the city attorney agrees that it's okay to do, that might be a possibility, or at least explored.
Yes, because I know you can cross the border and you can go over there, and those golf clubs and the tennis clubs are open and people are enjoying them, and yet over here in the city of Westlake Village, we can't. So there's a little confusion on that with the public, I would imagine.
And we saw what happened last weekend, or was it the weekend before, with the beaches in Newport. When you have an inequity, people are going to flock to one area. For example, a great example is we have a dog park. The dog park was scheduled to be closed coincidentally, just for maintenance during all this time. And it was scheduled to be reopened in the next 2 weeks. It will probably remain closed throughout the month and maybe beyond, because if you do open it, then you get a rush of people. I mean, we don't want to create spaces to enforce things. It's a passive park. There's no enforcement. So how do you enforce it if there is a rush, for lack of better words, of people that flock to that area? So that becomes an issue the city has to make decisions on in the coming couple of weeks.
Can you talk to the numbers in Westlake Village? Kind of what kind of numbers are we seeing as far as in cases, positive cases, deaths in Westlake Village? I mean, we're not a very dense area, so is there testing available in Westlake Village if the citizens want to get tested? You know.
Do you know the actual numbers have been a little bit unreliable, because initially the county doesn't report cities that have less than 25,000 population, and we have 8,600 population. And then Ventura County often lumps us in, and so that it's been very, I would say, unreliable. We know of a handful, when I say handful, under 10 cases of confirmed positive, and well under 10. But do you really know? At this point, with the testing and the unreliability of the testing and the way the numbers are being reported and the positioning of the city of Westlake Village on the border the way it is, I wouldn't be comfortable actually sharing numbers because I don't know them. Other than we have been very fortunate.
Which is maybe why there's a little bit of angst to get out, right? I mean, but yet we have a big senior population. We had senior concerns on last week, and talked about the seniors. And, if you're 70 or 75 and older, you should be staying in place, and they're at higher risk. So we have a lot of seniors in our community. So, we hear low numbers, yet there's this feeling of wanting to get out, and yet we have a lot of seniors who need to stay in place. We need to protect them.
There's, just from a personal perspective, since the very onset, when they first announced this was even happening, you could see every individual has their own comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And some, whether it be the federal, state, or local authorities or public health, telling what's going on, people react very differently. There will always be some people who, and especially younger people, that's just the nature of high school, college students, feel immune to everything. Whereas seniors, like you say, should be, especially in this case, more prudent about their whereabouts and where they go and how they conduct themselves. And after, what is this, day 50, you said? This is day 50.
Day 50.
So you do have a cabin fever mentality. People want to get back to normal, but the normal is going to happen incrementally. It's not going to happen immediately. And there may be some who, like I'm saying, with the comfort zone, rush to resume what they foresee as normality. And that'll probably quickly stop, I would imagine.
So will there be people out there policing? And, if you didn't mention hair salons and gyms, but where are they in the phase? And what if people need to open those for their economic reasons? Like, where are those in the phase? And will people be policing those stores?
Let's start with one of the major things that I can give answers to, which is the economics of all of this. A city, and I'll just have some notes here, just a city, our city, has about a $12.5 million general fund budget annually, just to give you an idea. About 26% of that, roughly, is our TOT tax. That's where we receive much of our, about a quarter of our funding. And that's from hotels. Then the sales tax makes up about 35%. And you can imagine what's happened there as well as the hotels. Property tax is minimal at 15%. And the remainder, roughly 25%, is made up of very small, a whole host of other things. So cities are going to have some real troubles. We've been fortunate since 1992. Our city has gone to, long before I have arrived, our city has gone to great lengths to prepare for a rainy day and have saved. So our city will be pretty resilient. In answer to your question about some of the other stores, just going through the stages here, I mentioned stage 1. Stage 2 will be office buildings, malls, and restaurants and dining rooms. Stage 3, which they're looking at a couple months down the road, is hair salons, gyms, sports competitions, and religious services. And finally, they're way down the line, at least this is what the LA Times is projecting, when there is a vaccine, concerts and sporting events. So this, when I use the word incremental, this is going to be over a period of time. No one knows what's going to happen with the second wave. All of us watch the news. We've heard these same terms and phrases over and over again. In Westlake Village, I would suspect some normalcy will be felt just by being outside. You see more people walking around the lake, more people out. You see people wearing masks like they were 2 weeks ago. It just takes one big news headline to change all of that. And people will then revert back to where they should be. I don't want to say there's a false sense of security, but it's human nature just to think, oh, we haven't heard much bad lately, therefore we can move forward with our lives again. Really have to be diligent.
But they put phases in place to protect the public, right? I mean, the CDC put these phases in place to protect us, and so it is a false sense of security if we break through too fast and there's no vaccine and it's so contagious. We'll be thrown back in, and we won't have phase 1 and phase 2, and it's like bad. You go back.
and no one knows what that looks like.
No one knows.
I mean, the smartest medical minds in the world are still stumped by much of this virus, how it's transmitted, why it causes certain people to be asymptomatic, others not, to react the way they are, other organs that it affects. There's so many complications. And so with so much unknown, I think there's going to be a resurgence. With the opening up, there should be a resurgence of, hey, we don't know about this, and no one knows what a second wave could look like.
One thing you didn't mention was the schools. We're entering summer. We're entering, seniors graduating, schools coming to a close, summer camps being canceled. What do you know about the schools and what they're talking about, and what challenges they're facing? We know what the parents' challenges are, but what are the schools facing?
In your last sentence, I don't know if we know what the parents' challenges are, because they're going to change. And for example, how does a school conduct itself if someone, a student or family member, becomes ill?
Oh, good. Our guest is coming and joining us. So let's finish our conversation. Let's have Jeremy join us and let's talk about the schools, because he's probably good at that. Bring him on. Yeah, our live show. We're silent.
We are silent. Yes, we can keep talking, can't we? So can I finish while we're waiting?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So there are many variables. How many students will be allowed per class? I think beyond true destruction of what we're seeing in the airline industry and hospitality and retail and restaurants. Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
Schools are going to be faced with some really tough protocols that we're not sure of. How many kids per class will they be required to have staggered schedules? There's going to be some parents who do not want to send their kids to school. Does the school need to provide virtual classes? Are masks going to be required for students? What about for teachers? What are these sanitization protocols going to be for the school itself? Not to mention the students and teachers. What happens when a student, I'm going to go back to that because it's huge. What happens when a student or family member becomes ill? As far as the testing and the notification and what happens to it could be really tough. And the biggest one that people really aren't talking about is the liability for the school and the school district. I don't know how that's going to play out with the state and what the state is going to do to help them open, but clearly there is a desire for the schools to open not only for normalcy, but to allow parents to return to work. These things work hand in hand. So our school district, LVUSD, working crazy to make this all work, but they still haven't received what the criteria is going to be on these issues that I just brought up. So they're waiting to hear it from the state.
Well, perfect timing, because let's introduce Jeremy Wolf, who District Director for Senator Henry Stern. And it's an honor for you to be here. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. It is an honor to be here. And thank you, Brad, for including me. And so just out of curiosity, what is the general demographic of the group who's watching, and in which area do they live in?
Mostly Westlake Village, Conejo Valley. So we broadcast to, everyone can see it, but we're really targeting on Conejo Valley. So both Ventura County and LA County.
Right, which we represent both, which has had its challenges during this pandemic. So I'll just give a quick introduction. So I'm with Senator Stern's office, and Senator Stern is one of the 40 state senators. We represent almost 1 million people from Malibu to Santa Clarita, from the 405 all the way to Camarillo. So we have the entire Conejo Valley in this region. And so I'll go back to the senator, but for schools, we don't have an answer. The governor floated July, we'd be coming back. CTA, California Teachers Association, was not thrilled about that. Exactly what the council member was discussing about liability. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially in schools. We don't know what's gonna happen, and it's very problematic. It's scary. LAUSD, which I know doesn't affect this group, but said that they're going to try and come back, I believe, August 19th. And that's, the second largest school district in the country. So that's going to be interesting to see if they do. But there's more questions than answers right now on that front.
There's one additional thing, which is the cost. The cost to implement these things. What if they're going to have to stagger those classes and have additional the school districts currently are paying the teachers because of the union rules and the way they govern them. There's a lot of moving parts that have to be figured out before they can move forward.
Well, we were fortunate enough to have a couple teachers on last week and hear their perspective and hear how the teachers really had to go from online to, from basically in classroom to online learning, and the challenges and the benefits that happens. And I mean, I can only imagine in 3 months, they need a break. I mean, this is the day after Newsom mentioned July in opening, and they're like, I need a break. The teachers
Right.
need a break, and this is all coming on so fast. Yet it's 50 days we've been in, another 50 days till they have to go back to school. I don't know. I agree with you. Financially, figuring it all out is going to be a challenge.
And the brain drain.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's also very problematic for what they're calling the brain drain, is that the students are not getting the same level of education. They're doing great, the teachers, but this is brand new for everyone, and there's going to be ripples felt in the system from being behind just from this. So what does the cost look like just from that, from students who are going to be behind from missing this much school? Good. Sorry, council member.
I was going to say another component of this is just the psyche of everyone involved. You have teachers that are virtually on the front line if they're in front of the students. They have their own economic and anxiety issues because of all of this. You have kids that are in a house that maybe things. No one is seriously unaffected by this. So it is a.
One of the things we were talking about, the schools are a huge challenge in itself, but we were talking about the small businesses opening up phase 1, phase 3, the hotels, right, how they've been affected. Can you share a little bit about what you're hearing from the state side, or what the rollout might look like, or if somebody breaks the rules and the gym really needs to open up because economically they're suffering and they're willing to do that? This is, that's reality, right?
Right. So the governor made the announcement yesterday that they're going to be starting in what they're calling early phase 2 on Friday. And all the information I have right now, he's going to have another press release on Thursday where he's going to be providing a lot of information. So I recommend everyone tune in at 12 o'clock on Thursday. But basically, they're going to be opening up some restaurants, some of the other things listed in phase 2, which include retail, manufacturing, and that's really it. They're going to keep offices and public spaces closed for this phase. Restaurants, they're going to open up more, but it's no dine-in. But the big takeaway from the governor's orders, besides everything that you can read online, is how it's going to be rolled out. He's going to be giving the counties a lot of discretion on how they want to do it. So California, the most diverse state in the nation, 58 counties. What's going on in Sutter County is different than what's going on in LA County. And the same is true from LA County to Ventura County. So he's giving the counties a lot of discretion here to act how they feel appropriate. And I think that that's a good approach, because it's very hard in California to do a one size fits all for everything. So we should see on Thursday what he says, but that was the real takeaway that people in the government circles are talking about.
So what kind of policing is there going to be? So if beaches opened up in Orange County, right? Everyone will flock there, right? Or if the tennis courts open up in Ventura County, people will flock there. Like, because of this, we all live close, and yet our county lines separate us. So what kind of fines will there be? What kind of policing will there be? Or what do you do?
So the beaches become one of our biggest issues. We represent all of Malibu, and the senator is also the chair of the Natural Resources and Water Committee, and he's the only surfer in the Senate. So we've actually been working with, it's called the World Surf League, that puts on the Surfing World Tour. We've been working with Surfline, which is the organization all the surfers check, and Surf Rider Foundation. And so what we're trying to do is come out when the beaches do open with best practices. But the first thing we recommend is to see which beaches are open, because it is going to be different from county to county. So the enforcement mechanism is still to be determined. We don't know for sure. They really don't want to write tickets for people on the beach. They just more want to give warnings. But I think Ventura County is an example that the state can follow, and the governor even noted. They're allowing active recreation on their beaches. So you can run, you can swim, you can surf, but you can't sunbathe. You can't just sit idle or congregate. And this weekend, it worked really well in Ventura County. LA County, I think it's going to be, for beaches and trails, going to be the last to open up in the state. We're the most populated. We have 10 million human beings. but then how do we manage the issue of people going to the other counties? And so they're doing a lot of messaging saying, we love our neighbors, but don't come. But that doesn't always work. The enforcement is soft, though. They don't want to write people tickets. It's more verbal warnings and police from that jurisdiction out there to show force that we're there and to just give warnings. But I don't think folks, unless they're blatantly violating, they're not really going to be cited, is my experience.
In regards to the commerce, retailers and other stores, what I've been hearing is that obviously the sheriff in our area does the enforcement. They will arrive on the scene if the store is open and it shouldn't be. They will, of course, notify the county, and the county may take much more drastic action, even to the point of turning off the electricity in the store or tagging it or whatever they have to do.
And through the county, it's the public health departments that are the enforcement mechanism. So through LA City, it's different, but for our Westlake Village and Agora folks, it's LA County Public Health. And then for our Thousand Oaks and other Conejo Valley, it'd be Ventura County Public Health who enforces for the retail space. And then on workers, is this an okay time to talk about the unemployment assistance?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just been an absolute nightmare. Speaking frankly, California averages 2,500 applicants a day to the unemployment program before this epidemic. On a week ago today, they had 250,000 people applying, and we're now at the 3 million range. I think people have applied. Once they get the benefits, they're pretty good, but it's getting there is the difficult part. The system can be confusing. People who have a 1099 as opposed to a W-2 employee, it can be confusing. But here is my plug. Today at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to put it at 4 o'clock, I'm going to put it in the link. We're having a town hall, the senator, on helping people get through the unemployment process. So if anyone listening has employees who have questions, they can use this as a resource. And I'm also going to provide our public inbox, because our team has transitioned from being field reps who used to go to events and give certificates to people to now helping people with their unemployment claim. So our office is here to support that if anyone has themselves or folks who work for them.
I love it. So yes, we definitely want to talk about the town hall meeting that you have 4 o'clock. We'll just talk about that link. We know we had people on with the PPP a couple weeks ago, and we know there's phase 2 of the PPP. We had some small businesses on talking about how they were to get, how to help people get their money. What do you know about the entertainment business? Because LA is obviously we rely on the economic effects that could happen in California, that could happen. We're watching the housing market, of course, being in real estate. I'm watching it very closely. But we have such a large percentage of our economy comes from the entertainment business. What do you see? When do you see production happening again? There's a lot of questions that I'm hearing around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the economic engines that built Southern California. The senator, his father's an actor. His name's Daniel Stern from Home Alone, if anyone's seen that. So the senator's very aware of the entertainment industry. We're pushing to get it opened as quickly as possible in a safe way, but it's going to look different. They already have plans in place, and they're working with the county, but they're going to have less people on the lots, basically. There's only going to be they're going to figure out who their essential workers are to get the movies and the TV shows and the programming made, and then cut out 50% of the people that is normally there. So there is a plan, because the state, the county, the city of Los Angeles is aware of how important it is to get that up and running. People are going to take a hit, though. From this time, there's not going to be as much production. There's going to be a backlog. But they are planning to have the lots and the studios social distance friendly, if you will.
And with protocols for sanitization, and I mean, that's going to be a part of it. Again, you go back to the overall theme is an incremental return to normal, whatever that normal is.
I mean, you both are working probably tirelessly morning to night with people coming, contacting you and asking you questions. And we could, we could be on here for a very long time. And I thank you both for your service and your duties and in coming on. In closing, if there's any, one or two points that you are getting lots of questions on that you'd love to share, I'd love to close with that. And knowing that we will probably be here for a while, we might have you back, to talk about phase 3 opening, because I think that's the most, people are very eager to how this will look 2-3 months, especially the schools. So Jeremy, thank you for joining us. Why don't we start with you?
Absolutely. LA County's at 50% unemployment. That's astronomical. We never thought we would get there. So how do we recover from this? There's no rule book for this. We had primarily been dealing with the natural disasters out here, wildfires, but there was a formula for how that worked. There is no formula, and we're not going to flip the light switch on May 15th and everything's going to return back to normal. So it's going to be a very, very slow process. And hopefully the economy takes a U-shape recovery. And the house that I bought, the condo I bought for way too much money 2 years ago, retains its value. I'm hoping that. But that the state is doing a pretty good job. I'm pretty proud of the work that we've been doing. There's so many questions and so many issues, so I can't even think of where to start to address. But my closing statement is that I'm going to include our public inbox in my email. So if you guys have any questions, reach out. We have a whole team working to answer these types of questions. So please reach out. And that's my only optimistic thing to say.
I love that, because sometimes no answer and just having a sounding board is super helpful. I will quickly tell you from a real estate perspective, the economic forecast for real estate, it is a U recovery. It is not going to be, that's what they're forecasting, because coming out of a pandemic, that we will get back to full employment in 2 to 3 years. So therefore we will come back, that this is not, it's not an economic, we didn't come in here because of economic, we came in here because of health, right? Which turned economic. But as soon as we find that vaccine, hopefully everyone can get back to some kind of music festivals and Disneylands and coming back to jobs and opportunity. So therefore, they are predicting this to be more like a U, and inventory is tight. So hopefully from a real estate standpoint, you're in it for the long run and you're good.
Good, thank you. But the state's going to be in a tough spot though from this. We're using our rainy day fund. So things are going to look different financially for the state of California. We were in a good place, 7 weeks ago. And so that's not the best news. But thank you for having me on, and I'm going to send you my my information right now.
Great.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. Brad, let's let you finish.
You use the word eager. Everybody's eager. Whether you're the governor or whether you're, bussing tables, you're eager to get back. I actually am very impressed with our state leadership. I may not always be on their side, but I think they made some very difficult and hard decisions that were not only not popular, they were bad for our economy. So where's the incentive for them to keep the quarantine? I mean, a lot of people are very critical of the continuous quarantine, but these were tough decisions to make, and obviously there's reasons why. We won't know till this is all over, years down the line, whether this was handled properly or not. You mentioned optimism. I actually have a lot of optimism. I think, like everyone watching, we've all experienced kind of a return to simplicity, where you look at the clock during the middle of the day and it doesn't mean anything, where the air is clean and there's no traffic. And, for our kids that we've been telling for so many years, oh, before the phone, things were so much simpler. And something, they got a taste of a little bit of a simpler life. And whether they remember that or not, this offers perspective for everyone involved of how it could be. And Jeremy, you mentioned the state budget, and Westlake Village shares the same, where they've prepared for a certain rainy day, and it's raining. So, when you want optimism, that could be totally the opposite, a polar opposite, which would change the whole future of how things were conducted. It'll be different. And before this call, I was reflecting on other major things that I've experienced in the mid-'80s when the fear of AIDS came out, before they knew what really caused it, and there was a panic. And then you had 9/11, and then you had the 2008 meltdown. There is a resiliency of adaptation, and businesses will adapt, and the economy will adapt, and there will be new innovations and opportunities. It'll look different for sure. And like all of us, we don't like change. So, but this is, it's a very interesting time. There's a lot of layers to it, but I do want to end on one final note, which is, you mentioned also about, we receive a lot of questions, emails, calls, day and night. And one thing that's been very interesting, before this all happened, there seemed to be a lot more venom. People were angry at the federal government, and it would come out in different ways. I saw the shift just being on council, people coming to meetings and voicing their opinions. It just seemed, whereas right now, with all the anxiety and uncertainty and questioning the future, people have been very kind. You don't have to go further than nextdoor.com to see that, yeah, there's been some confrontation, but no different than normal. And to that, I really am thankful to the people of our community.
And I agree with everything you guys are saying. We are Conejo Valley strong. We have been through a lot. I do believe we have to come together. We will come together. I do believe health first. We have to make sure everybody's healthy. And I think the governor's taken some big risks, and I agree with you. And I'm looking at, we have a question from Esta that she called the city, she's located in Westlake Village. She called the city of Westlake Village regarding their fitness studio. They are not an at-will gym, meaning that people don't come in and hop on a piece of equipment. They will be following protocol of the city of Westlake Village dictates. Is the city gonna be following governor's dictates? It seems extreme given that we're not in LA proper. By the way, thanks for doing this. So I don't know if you want to answer that or.
Yeah, I can try. I'm only one of 5 voices. There are 5 members of city council. So let's get that out there, right? But I know I'm going to push, and I believe the others are too, that we look individually at different categories, because one size fits all doesn't always work. The state is going to do what the state does. The county is going to do what they do. And I would suspect and guess that the city will look at different things that may not apply to that strict, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
You guys are sitting in big seats and have big decisions to make. And not everyone's always going to be happy with them, but decisions have to be made, and we have to be able to move forward with them. And as you said already, everybody's going to have a different risk tolerance. Everyone's going to have different tolerance. And, the most important thing is that respect each other's opinions on it, and that we keep moving forward, and we keep optimistic, because we will get through the other side. There's no question we'll get through the other side. It's just a matter of when and what we will look like. But on that note, thank you both for everything you've done and everything you've shared. We're getting great comments, and people really appreciate the honesty. And thank you both for being here.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Jeremy, 50 days of gruff?
It gave me an excuse. It gave me an excuse to do it, but not up here. Yeah,
Thank
well,
you so much.
anytime. Happy to join, and we can get the senator on too. If we can plan on that sometime in the very near future.
And one more thing, let me just give my email address. If anybody listening has any city-related question, you are welcome to reach out to me at any time. It's Brad Halpern, just like it reads on there, WLV for Westlake Village @gmail.com. Please reach out to me. I will get right back to you.
And we'll also post Jeremy's senator.stern@senate.ca.gov. I don't know, Sue, if you put that on, Jeremy.wolf oh, here it comes. And we've got the event this afternoon also. She'll probably put that on. I love the StreamYard. I love our backstage help going through. Very important information.
One more thing, for the latest city news, please go to www.wlv.org, which is the City of Westlake Village website, which is, we learned a lot from the fires, and it is very much up to date and has a lot of resources that you might find helpful.
And I'm sorry that you said that. Fire season's coming up, so we need to start, preparing for that. And so we will have another conversation, but that needs to be in the back of people's minds, because that doesn't stop for COVID, and it's coming back.
Yeah, and it's hot.
And it's hot. It's going to be hot and dry.
Yeah.
It could be worse. We could have murderous hornets. Oh, wait, we do.
The shoes are big. You guys are living in some big shoes.
Well, thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you very much.
Enjoy your day.
You too. Bye.